Tonight, we're cracking open Jeptha Creed Red, White, and Blue Bourbon. Welcome to the show. Jeptha Creed, their Red, White, and Blue Bourbon, featuring our estate-grown bloody butcher corn, it says, 100 proof, from Shelbyville, Kentucky. And what's interesting about that is how I acquired this bottle. I didn't buy it. I didn't order it. I'm in a store, TNT Package. I was there talking to the owner about when their video, we'd done the bourbon hunt, when it was coming out. And I walked down the bourbon aisle past two guys. I mean, they were really into it, talking about bottles and bourbon and all kinds of great stuff. And, I'm just doing my thing. And the guy looks over at me and sees my hat. I'm wearing the Bourbon Riders hat. And he goes, Bourbon Riders, kind of like question mark. I said, yeah, I run a bourbon channel on YouTube. He goes, oh, really? He said, we're from Jeptha Creed. I said, are you kidding? He said, no. He said, the guy that was talking to was Brad. He's the regional marketing manager. Georgia is one of his states. And he was there with Christian, who's the national marketing manager, and they were going around from store to store. And I said, yeah. I said, we started talking about bourbon and what I liked and so forth. And then, of course, it didn't take long to get to Jeptha Creed and asked if I had tried any. I said, yeah. I said, I tried the bottled and bond and the 4-grain. I didn't care for the bottled and bond that much. I think it was okay, but I really liked the 4-grain. Just something about the bottled and bond just threw me off. And he asked about what else I had, and I said, well, I've got your 6-year weeded. I haven't opened it yet. He told me a funny story about that, which I'll tell you when we get to that bourbon. I don't want to go too long here. Anyways, we're going back, and he asked me, during the conversation, like, have I tried this red, white, and blue? I said, no, I hadn't gotten to it yet. We do lots of things on the channels, and we don't necessarily go through all the lineup in a distillery. We're back and forth, and I thought eventually I would get to it because I have heard good things about it. And so he's telling me about it and how they give money to veterans and how this is an annual release, which I had no idea it was annual release. And he sent me this flyer here that actually tells more about it. But what was interesting about it, the most interesting part, let me get right to it. How did I get the bottle? Christian, the national marketing manager, says, well, I'll buy you a bottle. As we're talking about it. And I thought, oh, okay. Well, I thought we're going to go out to the guy's car. He's got a box of bourbon in the back, right? He's just going to pull me out a bottle. Oh, no, not at all. He grabs a bottle off the shelf. We walk up to the front. He whips out his credit card, and he pays for it just like anybody else would. And I don't think the store even knew who these guys were. There's more story to that. But he actually paid for this bourbon so I could review it with no strings attached. I said, well, I'm pretty transparent about how I get my whiskey. If someone gives me the whiskey for review, I let them know they bought this whiskey for me to review and how we got here tonight. Well, what is the red, white, and blue Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey? Well, apparently it's crafted from red, white, and blue heirloom varietal corns. And I understand it's all their corns. They are a farm to glass distillery, or farm to bottle, whatever you want to call it. It's crafted with these 3 corns to make a unique bourbon, and they donate a portion of the proceeds to local veteran organizations. It's at least 4 years old, and it's 25% bloody butcher corn, which is the red variety, 25% heirloom white corn, and 25% Bruce's blue corn, and then 20% malted rye and 5% malted barley. So that really makes it like, what, a 5-grain? I guess so. It's 5 different grains. It's bottled at 100 proof. And they give you the tasting notes in here. And we'll show you what this what they sent me. So that's how I acquired it. Let's get right to the aroma. Wow, very corn forward, I would say, in the aroma. I mean, I am getting some traditional bourbon notes, some, more brown sugar than molasses or maple. A little sweet on the nose, but heavy corn forward. And, some light baking spices is coming through. Maybe a little bit of vanilla. Maybe a little bit of leather. Not getting any oak. It does smell quite interesting. Cheers. Seems to have a good balance of sweetness, but I did get a nice load of spice right up front. A little pepper on the tip of the tongue. Pretty rich. But that corn, almost like a medley of corn, is interesting. It is more brown sugar, maybe a little bit of molasses, and more brown sugar, vanilla, cinnamon, definitely some baking spices like maybe a cloves or a nutmeg in there somewhere. Not real sweet, not real savory, kind of halfway between. Let's take another sip. It's a good balance of sweet and savory. It's kind of like right in the middle there. Either side got fair play. Sweet and savory with some spice. It's got a good mouthfeel to it. It's pretty viscous, pretty coating on the palate. Into the finish, some of the same flavors go into it, and I would say I'm getting almost like some dried fruits. That corn is so prevalent in the flavor and the sweetness there, but in the finish, that sweetness goes away quickly and ends up being more traditional bourbon finishes with some dried fruit. Baking spices, no pepper on the back end, which I really don't like pepper on the back end. I kind of like it on the front. I don't like it on the back. No pepper on the back. Fairly lasting too. Fairly lasting. Good lasting finish. $75 is the MSRP. The 4 grain is $50. And they got a single barrel that's $55. The bottled and bond is $53. So, and I don't see the wheated here. I don't remember what I paid for the wheated. So the red, white, and blue is probably the more expensive because it is just an annual release. So in some ways it's limited, although I have seen the red, white, and blue in a lot of stores. It has Jeptha Creed. It's not unusual for me to see the red, white, and blue, so they did make a lot of it. So, well, that gets us to our final thoughts. Well, it doesn't really drink like a lot of things that I own, so for me, that uniqueness is a plus. The fact that you can get something in a 5 grain that is really a good balance, a good sipper. I think $75 is a good price. Not a great price, a good price, but remember, they donate part of the proceeds to veteran organizations, so that's what part of what you're buying into, isn't it? And I'm a supporter of veterans. So not a whole lot of comparisons there, but they've got a good product, a very good product, at a good price, and I am going to be enjoying it, and when I get done with it, I may buy another. I just started into it, so I'll let you know what I think long term of this Jeptha Creed red, white, and blue. But for me, is it a buy or a pass? I'm saying it's a buy. It's unique. It's very sippable, and it meets all the requirements that I have for a good bourbon whiskey. So, if you have a Jeptha Creed, the wheated, the red, white, and blue, the 4-grain, the bottled and bond, maybe some other variety, let me know what you think of it. I think this could be the best Jeptha Creed I've tasted yet. So, please like this video, comment, and share. And as always, never drink and drive. Please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.